Very good morning to all of you. This is my first attempt to record this thing on iPad. Uh, Today I'm going to talk about ensuring safe practice in small setup in COVID era. Basically, since beginning of 2020, we are suffering from COVID-19 or Corona. Initially, it was in China, then it was declared as pandemic on 11th of March. Cases are increasing daily all over the world. Initially, it was in Europe, then it was in US, now it is in India. And if we think of healthcare workers, we are at highest risk. Infection rate is 2 to 3 times higher than a common man in healthcare worker. If you think of anesthetists, we are uh, up to 6.6 times at higher risk as compared to layman. So risk of infection is very high because we are involved in intubation, extubation, and airway procedures. So we are exposed maximum. So if we take care, we can avoid this. And this thing especially becomes important in small setups where all facilities are not available. You have to work in limited resources with limited resources and you have to be more careful about you and your co-workers. So prevention is the only way. If you get infected with coronavirus, then there is no specific treatment. There are supportive treatment, but there is no specific treatment. So prevention is better always. We need to protect ourselves as well as our co-workers. We need to protect ourselves, surgeons, staffs, from getting infected. And as I said, it is more challenging in small nursing home and freelance practice, but we can do it. I heard that many of our friends are afraid of starting practice because of this corona era. They are doing nothing or doing very less because of fear of COVID infection. But if we take care, we can do it. So how we can do it? We have there are 4 steps. We can detect before admission. If we can detect the COVID positive patient before admission, we can easily avoid doing planned surgery in those patients. In emergency, you don't have choice many a times, but in planned surgery, definitely you can do it. We have to take certain precaution during PAC when we go for PAC visit, or when we want to do pre-op assessment. We have to take certain precautions. We have to take precaution inside operation theater. We have to select the anesthesia technique, whether we should go for regional anesthesia or general anesthesia. So we will discuss all this one by one. Detection before admission. This is very important. This is the form we have prepared in our hospital. It's like history and examination for COVID-19. We look for history of fever, high grade or low grade, intermittent, continuous, duration, history of cough, throat pain, history of running nose, breathlessness, difficulty in breathing. So this is done by nursing staff in the before any admission. So it is like a history taken in triage area. Examination, we look for any nasal discharge, any redness in throat or congestion in throat like tonsillitis, pharyngitis. RS we check. This is done by a medical officer for Krebs, Ronchi. CVS we look for. Vitals like temperature, that is very important. Pulse rate, whether there is any tachycardia or not. SpO2, sometimes there is happy hypoxia. Patient saturation is 80 to 85 and the patient has no symptom. So SpO2 is very important parameter to detect the patient early. Respiratory rate, again patients are tachypneic if they have COVID infection. Most important nowadays is a history of traveling with date and place. Suppose patient is traveled in the area with more prevalence of COVID-19, like suppose I am in Gujarat and if patient is coming from Ahmedabad or Surat, then there are more chances of infection. Epidemiological history, same symptoms or any history of quarantine in family members or themselves. Primary treatment taken at that time, comorbidity and previous investigation if any. So if we take all this history and many times we can detect any problem or whether we require further investigation or not with this only. Second important investigation is HRCT. So with HRCT we can, it is very sensitive, just like next investigation, that is RT-PCR. So if we look at HRCT, you will find ground glass opacity, and there are specific findings by which you can say that patient has chances of corona or not. And last but not least, RT-PCR. Again, there are chances of false negatives, so universal precaution is must, especially when it is becoming very common with asymptomatic patients. So even if you find RT-PCR, HRCT, everything negative, take all precaution inside the operation theatre. Second part is pre-op assessment. In AS1 or 2 patient, we prefer to do telephonic PSC. We ask the history to medical officer. Medical officer will ask the question to the patient, relevant question, and inform us. They will do a primary examination like auscultation, and they will inform us the investigation done, and with that we avoid going to the wards where more chances of infection. And we do PSC at the time of surgery, just before taking the patient inside OT. So this is very common in freelancing practice, so usually it is done like that only, so it is not an issue. Auscultation again can be avoided. If you have any doubt, you can look at SpO2 and temperature, and you can have some assessment without auscultation. But if you want to do auscultation, you can do it on the backside to prevent direct exposure to fomites. Don't allow relatives while doing PSC. Sometimes we get 2-3 relatives along with the patients in PSC clinic. So when you are doing PSC, only person should be allowed inside. Ask the patient to wear the mask. You take all precautions, like you have to wear mask, gown, gloves to avoid any exposure. And we have to maintain social distancing whenever possible. Like when you need to do examination like auscultation or something like that, then only you can go to close to the patient. Otherwise, stay away from the patient. Precaution inside OT. This is very important. We have to take all precaution inside OT in almost all patients, because nowadays many patients are asymptomatic, but they are carriers of COVID-19, because number of cases is increasing. We don't know whether patient is positive or not. So we have to consider all the patient positive, and we should take the precaution accordingly. So these are the things we have developed. There are many type of face shield or visors. This is the visor we were using initially. Now we have 2-3 different type of visor also. You can use of your choice, but important thing is you have to cover entire face. Second important is gown. This is gown made of impervious material. This impervious material, having impervious material is very important. You can either use complete PP or you can use gown with impervious material, so that if you want to check it, pour some water on the some part of the gown and look whether it is going on the other side or not. If material is impervious, you are safe. You can easily autoclave it or ETO it and reuse it for other patients. Same way, these are the foot cover, but importance of foot cover is not established yet. But if you are using, there is no harm, because there are chances of fall of fomites on your foot also. So always use it. As you can see here, this is my junior. He is ready with the gown, gloves, double mask. When you are wearing mask, always wear N95 mask first. And if you want to wear second surgical mask, always wear above the N95 mask, because if you wear a simple 3-ply mask inside and then put on N95 mask above it, then there will be no proper skill, and there are all chances that you will have not proper seal of the mask, and you will have exposure to the COVID-19. Second important thing is intubation box. Initially, we designed it, we were using along with video laryngoscope with all the precautions like gloves, gown, face shield, double mask. But after initial studies, there are results are showing that some results are showing it is good, and other results are showing it is not very helpful, because there will be more concentration of COVID-19 virus inside the box, and if you don't clean properly, then it can be a source of infection. So whether to use it or not, you can choose. We were using it initially, but nowadays we have stopped using it. We take other precaution. Even here you can see my assistant has not put on gown, but nowadays we ask them to put on gown also. Selecting mask, again this is very important. We all know that this is the 3-ply surgical mask and this is N95 mask. N95 mask is more protective. You can wear double mask, like wear N95 mask, then above it you can wear 3-ply mask. By that you can reuse N95 mask. Nowadays it is easily available N95 mask, but in initial few months there was scarcity of N95 mask and we had to reuse it. But nowadays also you can reuse it because they are costly. You can use at least 4 times. How to reuse I will show. The next is the respirator. This is the respirator. You can this gives an excellent seal, and as there is an expired report, there is it is very comfortable. You can wear for hours and you don't get breathless by wearing it in spite of very tight seal. But again you have to keep 4 pair of filter so that you can use it every 5th day. But this is the filter. Here there is a filter inside this box, so you can clean the other things, and you can, that is also very not cost, that is not very costly also. So you can either reuse every 5th day or you can use it as a disposable one also. So these are various options. N95 give 95% protection against viruses. This is said to be 100% with 100% filtration capacity, but we don't know exactly how helpful it is. And if we don't take proper precautions, like if we keep touching outside of face shield or N95 mask or this N100 mask, then it is useless. We have to take all precaution. We should not touch the outside part of the mask. Even after wearing the mask, don't touch inside also, otherwise everything will go on by. So we have to take all this precaution. So here you can see I am ready for intubation. I have put on gown, I have put on gloves, I have put on respirator, I have put on face shield. So by this I am very much safe to go for any surgery, and anyone can purchase all these things even in small setups. It is not very costly, and I will say it is not costlier than your life. Scavenging system. This is prepared by Dr. Dipti Mehta. She is a senior anesthetist in Rajkot, and this is nicely prepared. This is a simple anesthesia trolley with circle absorber. She has attached this line at the expiratory port, and it is going outside the operation theatre through a hole made inside OT, and then these gases are scavenged in hypochlorite solution, so that you don't have any exposure to infectious material. So this is how you can formulate this. This is how you can disconnect from this part, and you can clean the tubing also. So this is very simple to make. You have to do just small changes inside your routine, and you can be safe inside your operation theatre. So I'm thankful to Dr. Dipti Mehta for providing this video to me. Reusing mask. This is again important. When you are using N95 mask or respirator with filter, it is said that if you don't touch the mask or any material for 72 hours, a virus will die itself. So there are various methods to clean the mask and reuse mask, like H2O2 vapor, or many other methods like UV lights. But this is the very simple method. You can have 4 paper bags. You can prepare it yourself also, or you can use the paper bag used in market. So you can prepare like this. You can keep at the place where you don't need to touch. So on day 1 I will put my mask in the bag 1. I will write down the date. Then on day 2 I will put the mask 2 inside, then 3 and 4. Again on day 5 I will reuse the day 1 mask, and you can use it up to 4 to 5 times, and it is in AIMS guideline, as well as this is recommended by US guideline also. So we can reuse it safely, but we have to take certain precautions, like don't touch the outer surface of mask, wash the hand before touching the mask, wash the hand after touching the mask to prevent any infection, like clean hand with soap and water on, or alcohol-based hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol before and after touching or adjusting N95. Avoid touching the inside of the N95 mask. Use a pair of clean gloves when donning the mask and performing user seal check. You have to check the seal every time you use it. Visually inspect the mask to determine if its integrity has been compromised. Sometimes before putting on mask second time, you have to check whether its integrity is compromised or not. If any doubt, throw it away and use second mask. Check that mask components such as the straps, nose bridge and nose foam material did not degrade. Sometimes after using 6 to 8 hours, it gets degraded. Then don't use it, which can affect the quality of fit and seal. If the integrity of any part of the mask is compromised, or if a successful user seal check cannot be performed, discard the mask and try another mask. User should perform a user seal check immediately after don each mask, and should not use a mask on which they cannot perform a successful user seal check. Nowadays we have enough masks. So if you are doing duty in a COVID ward or COVID ICU, or if you are anesthetizing a COVID positive patient, don't reuse it. Throw it away. 200-300 rupees is not a big value. So reusing mask is okay if you are not doing for not anesthetizing a confirmed COVID positive patient. If you can reuse it, but if you are using it in COVID positive patient, it is better to throw it away. Last topic is regional anesthesia or general anesthesia. We think that regional is safer because we are not dealing with airway, but RA with deep sedation. Sometimes we give regional anesthesia, like suppose we have given supraclavicular block and we need some deep sedation. In such cases, are we safe? Are we really safe? Sometimes patient coughs, sometimes patient vomits. Then we become unsafe, I will say, with regional anesthesia. If it is GA, we have increased risk at the time of intubation, and I will say more at the time of extubation, because when we anesthetize the patient, we give adequate muscle relaxation before attempting intubation. But extubation, at the time of extubation, sometimes there are chances of coughing, so we are exposed. If it is regional anesthesia with deep sedation, it is a question mark. GA with all possible precaution is safe. Take all precaution in RA cases also. Even if it is spinal or block, take all precautions like putting on gown, wearing N95 mask, and wearing gloves. So these are the safe practice guidelines by the Regional Anesthesia Society. Don't appropriate PPE for doing the procedure. Take extra time for doff and use an observer. Donning and doffing, these are the time when there are highest chances of exposure. So keep an observer. RA procedure are not considered aerosol generating, so we consider is safe. But the use of N95 mask as similar powered PAPR generally are not considered necessary, but I will say always use N95. The use of N95 mask should be considered for surgical procedure with significant risk of conversion to GA, but I will say use it in all patients. All patients should wear a surgical mask to restrict droplet spread. Ask the patient to wear the mask, because by that you can avoid the droplet spread. Ensure the use of plastic cover to protect. If you are using ultrasound inside your OT, protect it with plastic covers. The use of RA is not contraindicated. The use of RA is not contraindicated for COVID-19 positive patient. RA is preferred for providing anesthesia care wherever possible. Prepare and pack the required drug in a packed bag. Don't take all drug inside the OT when it is COVID positive patient. Use block that reduce respiratory interference, such as axillary or infraclavicular block. Suppose if you are doing upper limb surgery, don't go for supraclavicular block or interscalene block, which can cause diaphragmatic palsy and cause respiratory distress. Risk benefit should be considered for perineal adjuvant and continuous perineal catheters. When you are using adjuvant like clonidine, it can cause sometimes sedation, deep sedation, and you will require intervention. So think before using it. Using continuous perineal catheter, again you will have to go for either boluses, or you have to change the syringes if it is continuous infusion. So think before using it. If you can avoid it, avoid. Currently, no dose adjustment for RA is recommended. Use ultrasound guidance for peripheral nerve blocks to improve the success rate. If you don't have, you can use PNS. Be vigilant. RA should be thoroughly tested before proceeding with surgery. Test the effect of block before asking the surgeon to go ahead, because if you need conversion to GA, you will require all precaution. Use minimal supplemental oxygen needed to maintain saturation, and whenever you required oxygen supplementation, use venti-mask rather than using prongs, and cover the venti-mask with mask. It will avoid aerosol generation. Rule out thrombocytopenia before neuraxial procedures. Sometimes there is thrombocytopenia along with COVID positive patient. So check it before giving spinal or epidural. Watch and be prepared for hypotension after neuraxial anesthesia. Initially there was a paper which was suggesting that there are high chances of hypotension, or there is more hypotension after neuraxial anesthesia in COVID positive patient. Postpone epidural blood patch if possible until recovery from acute infection. So epidural blood patch is not recommended in active cases. Next is GA. In certain surgery, you have to go for GA like laparotomies or brain surgeries, or sometimes you have to convert to GA even if it is regional anesthesia procedure because of failed block, or sometimes because of prolonged surgery. So WFS as a prepared guideline like optimize success preoperative assessment include airway assessment, preoperative team briefing and discuss plan that includes anesthesia plan ABCD, Optimize patient condition and position pre-intubation. Personal protection like minimum exposure with N90 mask, 5 mask, as I said, gown, hat, eye protection, gloves. Double gloves are recommended when you are doing airway management. Viral filter in breathing circuit. You have to use HME filter at the patient edge as well as in the expiratory limb to avoid the viral load. Aerosol barrier like you can use intubation box. No non-essential person during intubation and extubation. It is recommended that at the time of intubation only anesthetist and one assistant should remain inside OT. If you think that you will require second help, then ask another person to be ready outside OT, and you can call him in case of emergency. Supplies. Anticipate needs like airway equipment, mask, laryngoscope, video laryngoscope if available, endotracheal tube, syringe, tie, tape, stilet, airway adjuvant like bougie, supraglottic airway, oral airway should be ready. Working suction catheter. These are the things you will check before going induction. Drugs like RX, rapid sequence induction, neuromuscular blocks, emergency drug, analgesic, antibiotics, others equipment for IV access. This should be kept ready. A rapid sequence induction is recommended. Intubation pre-oxygenate 200 tight seal, low flow 3 minutes. So pre-oxygenation should be done with low flow. You have to hold the mask properly to prevent aerosol spread. After giving, avoid mask ventilation unless patient is hypoxic. So after giving propofol scoline or pentothal scoline or ketamine scoline, whatever it is, don't do mask ventilation. Intubate immediately, inflate ATT cup before ventilating, and avoid unnecessary disconnection. All connections should be tight. If required, apply some plaster or tape to prevent disconnection, and we have to inflate the cuff before ventilation. Confirm ATT placement with capnography if available, or traditional methods. Don't go for auscultation if not required. Minimize coughing at intubation and extubation to avoid excessive over-suctioning. Again, this is for intubation and extubation checklist. This is by again by WFSA. Anesthetic pre-op assessment, as I said, all things should be checked like machine, tubes, and circuits, filters, drugs. And then we have to plan. Anesthesia team should be briefed about the plan. Intubation plan, we have to go for RSI or modified RSI. Mask ventilation, plan B, C should be mask ventilation and LMA. If not required, don't go for it. Plan D, rescue like fiber optic nasal intubation or tracheostomy. Team members apply PPE. Every team member should wear the PPE. Non-essential personnel should leave the OT. Patient transfer to theater wearing surgical mask. So when you take the patient inside OT, till you start when mask ventilation, ask the patient to put on mask. Inside theater intubation, essential person only, as I said. Apply patient monitoring, optimize patient position, optimize patient condition. Take your own time. Don't do it in hurry. Sometimes we are in hurry. We go and just give propofol scoline. We are not prepared and we will be in soup. Set up any barrier method. Team confirm anesthetic plan. Pre-oxygenate for more than 3 minutes with low flows. Proceed for RSI or modified RSI. Minimize aerosol generation by avoiding big mask ventilation during apneic period. Inflate cup before ventilating. Secure tube and connection. Avoid unnecessary disconnection. And consider clamping ETT after incision until ventilation is attached. Confirm ETT with capnography whenever possible. Ensure patient condition stable and proceed with surgery. Same way at the time of extubation, ensure patient consider stable, no non-essential person inside. Once surgery is over, ask everybody to go out. Perform suction prior to extubation. Avoid excessive or over suction. Consider inline suction if available. Extubate on operation room table. Avoid unnecessary disconnection. Keep any aerosol barrier in place. If possible, keep box. Extubate when indicated. Minimize coughing at the time of extubation. Deep extubation I will recommend, because if patient becomes light, then chances of coughing are more. Arrange transfer when indicated. No entry to OR without PPE until designated time of post extubation. So it is roughly 20 to 30 minutes. So till that, don't allow anyone inside OT. Remove PPV in designated area only. So this is the protocol set by WFSA. But biggest worry, what is the biggest worry? Taking infection to home and exposing our dear ones to infection. So we are worried about infection to our kids, to our parents, and to our spouse. They are not going to hospital, but because of us, they are exposed to COVID virus. They have high chances of COVID virus infection. So take all precaution before leaving hospital. Always wash your hands, wash your mouth with soap. Apply sterilium or alcohol, 60% alcohol. Properly clean it with properly. Don't take any mask to your home. When you reach home, immediately take a bath with warm water and soap, and then only touch your kids and family members. So take all care so that your dear ones don't get infected. WFSA guideline for low resource setting is available freely on internet. So with this link, you can have that guideline. It shows many things. This is the page which I am talking of. It shows how to prepare PPE yourself, how to prepare sterilium at your place. So you can do it yourself. You can prepare hand sanitizer at your home, at your hospital. You can prepare your own PPE. So this is the guideline for a low resource setting. WFSA has prepared it very nicely, and you can use it. This is all about it. Take care. Stay safe. Thank you very much.